first and foremost, welcome to Keep It Thorough Thursday. We're doing an episode on Wednesday this week because I'm traveling tomorrow, so we had to move it around. So Keep It Thorough Thursdays on Wednesday this week. Y'all know we make adjustments occasionally, but we definitely get the content of episodes out. So Keep It Thorough Thursdays. Welcome, episode 61. Today we're gonna be talking about monetizing your skill set. Like I say, every single week, very important topic, very important subject. I think all our subject matter is, pretty good and insightful and add some value. So without further ado, let's go and get into it. It's your boy EW.
Yeah. What's up, good people? Cedric Lavelle here, and as always, appreciate you all for tuning in to Keep It Thorough, where we just give you the real behind business, health, money, and self-development. Monetizing your skill set is definitely one of those episodes, like he was saying, that's highly beneficial. As we both are entrepreneurs and continuously looking to build and create certain things. This is something that's, passionate to both he and I, as it relates to, using things that you've learned, using things that identifying things that you're good at, and monetizing off of it, capitalizing off of it, using your gifts as a way to generate income. So hopefully this conversation will be valuable for everyone, and you can gain something out of it that could potentially help in growing your income and setting up a better future for you, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go and get right into it, right? So search results, finding your skill set and the hidden. I can't talk today. Finding your skill set is a hidden gem, right? So what does that mean? Say, go ahead and allude to that, allude on that, or dive a little deeper.
Man. So anytime that you're searching for a hidden gem, you're looking to find something obviously that adds value. And a lot of times when it comes to your skill set, it takes some searching. It takes some real deep dives into what you've done in your past, what type of experiences that you've had, what type of roles you've had in any type of job, certain things that you're passionate about, and really just, putting your efforts into figuring things out, right? Seeing what you're good at, seeing where your abilities are, seeing what you're capable of, seeing where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are. And then from there, just identifying things that you do exceptionally well, or that you do well and can develop over time. And so once you get into a position where you're able to identify where you're skillful at, and you're able to hone in on that craft, it's almost as if, someone who wants to play sports and they figure out that, they got a jumper, or that they can dribble, or they can defend, or all the other, tangibles and whatnot that comes with being an athlete, right? And then over time, they begin to hone in on that craft and sharpen those tools, and eventually they become better than everybody else. They're above the crowd type of thing. And that's the same thing in the professional aspect as well too. Once you figure out what you're good at.
My bad, shit.
Go ahead, bro.
I wanted to add on that, right? It doesn't even necessarily have to be something that you're good at initially. Yeah. It can be something that you find joy in, right? That you have a passion for, that where, if you focus in on that particular skill or talent, you're going to give it your all because you care about it. Right. There's a passion behind it. So it's going to help drive you, as opposed to, we talk about money all the time, right? Not just doing something just for money because you'll get burnt out. You should have a love and some sort of passion too, but it doesn't have to necessarily be something that you're just naturally gifted at, right? It could be something that you just really, really enjoy. So, you're going to give it your all to hone in and sharpen and develop those skills.
Right. And that's kind of like with with like graphic design and in creating. For me, like I've never been one to say that I'm graphic design or have the ability to
by like nature,
create images. I've always honed in on writing, but I like to create, you know what I'm saying? And so with graphics and a lot of the stuff that we do on our page and a lot of the ads that we create, you know, it's just something that I put my time into learning and putting together, and it's been, you know, beneficial for us, right? And so, like he was just saying, it doesn't have to be necessarily something that that you're good at, but it can be something that you're passionate about, that you see potential in, and then from there, you just kind of focus in on building and progressing in that area, right? So three key things that you want to know as it relates to skill set. So one, skill set influences your career, right? And so when we're talking about monetizing your skill set, how it will influence your career, the more that you can learn within a role or within an industry, the more beneficial you become. You know, the more of an asset that you can become within that industry or within that company, right? And as you become an asset, that opens up the opportunity for promotions, that opens up the opportunity for pay, for bonuses, and all of those things, because you're sharpening yourself within that field, and you can see a lot of significant growth within your career as well, right? Then the next one is skill set influences your value, you know, and so the more that you know, and the more that you can get yourself into a position where you're continuously learning, you know, you're figuring out some of the different aspects of things that you like. You know, if you're passionate about marketing, and then you get introduced to aspects of branding, and then you get introduced to aspects of sales, you know, and then you get introduced to aspects of customer service, and then you start creating and identifying ways that you can insert your knowledge and expertise into those different functions of a business. You know, you become more valuable, right? You become more of a resource, because people look at you as someone who's versatile, right? You can do things in many different areas, and with that adds more value, and with that increased value, that can also increase the opportunities for you to earn more income. And then the last one is skill set influences your business, and this is more so from an entrepreneurial standpoint, right? With an improved skill set, and with continuing to develop with what you know and what you've learned and what you understand, that can lead to more products and more services, right? And so you may initially start a business doing one thing, but as time progresses and you continuously learn and evolve, and you change with the times, and you're you know, understanding the industry and customer needs, and you know, you're identifying different ways that you can insert yourself into a business, not into a business, but insert yourself into a particular need or a particular space. You're able to identify, you know, different products and services that may be able to serve that community, or
break into those new markets.
Right, you can break into new markets, right? And so skill set influences that aspect as well too. So continuously learning, continuously identifying areas where your expertise, your knowledge, and your understanding can be impactful, and then from there, just growing throughout that process, right? Because in anything that you do, you always want to get better at it, right? You don't want to be stagnant and just do the same mundane and you know, consistent roles every day, right? Like, you want to be able to develop, you want to be able to grow, you want to be able to learn more, see what more is there to offer, and then as you do that, you begin to sharpen your skills. You become, you know, more of a expert. I know you don't really like that expert word, but you become more of an expert, and then from there, that just improves your value. That improves your opportunities. That improves your leverage, and then from there, you can kind of see your career kind of take off into new heights.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. The only thing I really want to add on to that is, if you get to a point where you feel like you've kind of plateaued, right, and there's not much room to grow, then that means you're just not challenging yourself, right? You gotta step out of your comfort zone and try to do some new things. And if you're in a, you know, in a we're speaking career wise, right? Because I think as an entrepreneur, you know, there's just steady challenges there to remain successful and be successful. But in the business world, when you're working for someone, if you hit a level where, you know, you're not really feel like you're being challenged, then, you know, you may need to change your pace. You need to may need a career change, you know, fighting for a new position or something like that, right? And then to elaborate on a little bit more on like the importance of skill set, we've talked about this before, right? You can't have you can't have mediocre set of skills and expect high pay, right? Because what dictates pay is the level of specialization, right? Or the, what's a better way to say that? The level of skills, the unique skills you possess, right? That's what, so like that's why doctors get paid a lot more than, you know, fast food clerks, right? Because anybody can replace that fast food clerk, right? That it's not a very skilled job, therefore they don't have to pay that much. But a doctor, you know, you got to go to school for 10 years, you know what I mean? And very specialized skill, which, you know, and there's not as many people that possess those skills. So very in demand, much needed job that's highly skilled, they make a lot more money. So, you know, importance of skill set, continuing to sharpen those tools in your belt allows you to demand a lot more as an employer and as a business owner, right? So moving on with that, moving on to the next segment here, using your leverage. And I love that title, right? Because your skill set, your unique set of you know, capabilities, good word said, it is, you know, use that, leverage that. That's what makes you uniquely you, right? That's what makes you different than the next person. We all don't possess the same type of skills, right? The reason me and Said have been successful thus far in this business endeavor is we have different skills and we complement each other. You know what I'm saying? Like Said's very dope with branding and marketing and writing, like verbiage and concepts, right? I'm very good at on the technical side of things, you know what I mean? Like building websites and understanding target marketing and you know, business plans and LLCs and all of the business aspects type stuff, you know what I mean? And it's just kind of like a perfect marriage. But so yeah, using your leverage. So I'm gonna outline 5 ways to monetize your skill set, right?
That was cute, man. Perfect marriage. I like that.
Here this guy go. But yeah, so these are ways to essentially invest in yourself, right? So the first one on the list is do some freelance work. Offer your skills on websites like Fiverr, Upwork, or Freelancer. I actually do this, right? There's a few different oil companies here in Texas that I've built relationships with the director of marketing, and I do freelance website development work for them, right? And it's worked out well for me. And what's so nice about doing freelance work is you set your price, right? And now be smart. You don't want to overcharge, especially if you're just getting started. And I know when I first got started doing website development, man, 10 plus years ago, I was nervous, right? I didn't even really want to take clients because I'm like, can I do it? Like, I don't even know if I can do this, right? But what really kind of got me over the hill is really getting out there and just take on some projects. Don't do it for free though. Like never do it for free, right? Even if it's like pro bono, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna do this, you know what I mean? And you just look out for me here. Do something for your services though. Don't do it for free because it sets bad precedent. And then down the road, they may want something else done for free. And then you're like, nah, I'm much more established now. I charge, and then I can create, you know, a bad dynamic. So never work for free, but don't overcharge. That would be my my advice, right? Next on the list is offer consulting services and charge an hourly rate. So say, for instance, you're very good with the stock market. Say you understand trading, you're a day trader or a long-term investor, you're invested in crypto, whatever the case may be. That's a very hot topic. A lot of people want to learn more about that topic, right? So you can offer consulting services, right? Where you charge an hourly rate. You can put together little packages, you know, pre-developed packages where you go over, you know, a set amount of things. Maybe you put together a portfolio for someone, or say you got a package where you select 5 stack stocks and help them build a portfolio, and they need a minimum of $1,000 or something like that, right? Just throwing some random out there. But you can offer consulting services and charge an hourly rate. Very, very good way to make some money. Next on the list is creating and selling online courses on platforms like Udemy or Teachable. And this is very similar to, like, you know, we see courses all the time. You see people selling courses for various different things, right? You see people selling courses for cooking. You see people selling courses for working out. You see people selling courses for stocks.
I saw somebody selling the course for how to be single.
Right? You know what I mean? Like there's courses out now. I would recommend doing something that's going to be beneficial to people, and provide a lot of value and something that kind of differentiates you. So even if you're covering the same topics as somebody else, you can take a different approach in the way that you like deliver the message that can kind of separate you from the pack, right? And make you a little bit more interesting. But Udemy and Teachable, very dope sites. I've personally used Udemy myself for some technical learnings. Learning some stuff about the cloud and various different things and preparing for, some certifications and stuff like that. But Udemy is a very popular platform. And if you hit it off with a popular course, you can run up a bag, right? And we've had several conversations about passive income, right? And that's an area where you can tap into passive income, because once you create that course, it's done. The work is done. Now you're just collecting a check. Now you can continue to create courses if you want, but you'll eat off that first one, if it's successful for as long as that topic remains relevant, right? So next on the list is creating and selling physical products that leverage your skill set. So an example I can give for something like that is what we did with Keep It Thorough, right? We're not a clothing company, right? We're actually, we define ourselves as a lifestyle brand, right? That really impacts you in every area of your life, right? Whether it's, self-development, financial literacy, wellness, business, you know what I mean? Like that's how we classify ourselves, right? But we understand the importance of branding and recognition, right? And creating, like we introduced our circle patch snapback, right? Our hat that you can see at the bottom of the screen. And if you want, you go ahead and buy one right now. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna be mad at you. But anyway, but that's an example of like creating some physical products to leverage our skill set or our brand, right? But another example of that would be, say you are a very good knitter, right? Or a very good, sewer or something like that, right? You can create, specialty pieces that you then can sell, where you can highlight and leverage your skill set, something that you may be very good at, at knitting quilts or something. I don't know, whatever the case may be, but you can create some physical products that you then can put in the marketplace to leverage your skill set.
Let me find out you be over there knitting, bro. You know what I'm saying?
If I knew how and had the time, I might.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Find out you over there making
some sweaters or something.
Making quilts and putting them on Etsy.
Hey, I do got some sewing machines for sale. Hey, but and last on the list is writing a book or writing and publishing a book in your area of expertise, right? So to continue on with the whole stock market and investing skill set, right? If you are very knowledgeable in that particular area, you can write a book, right? And get all your ideas out, the blueprint, get it published, put it out there in the world. And again, that's another way of generating passive income. Because once that book is written and published, as long as that content is relevant. And if it's a good read, people will continue to support that book, right? There's books like Think and Grow Rich, wrote in like the 1800s that are still a bestseller to this day. You know what I mean? And we're talking long, you know what I mean? I can't even do the rough math on that, but 100 years, 100 plus years, you know what I'm saying? So,
wow.
So yeah, it can last for a very long time, and you can be profitable from it, right? So what's the impact of leveraging your skill set? Leveraging your skill set is a useful way to create opportunities for yourself and others. Within the awareness of your unique skills that you possess, you can find areas where there is a demand for your abilities and offer something of value that solves a problem and nets a profit. And you don't necessarily be having to solve a problem, you know what I mean? It could be something of entertainment value or something in that knowledge. But typically when we think about business, we think about solving a problem, not necessarily it doesn't have to be a negative
problem,
problem,
more
so
of
to
like
speak.
a need.
Or a
You know what I'm
need. There
saying?
you
Fulfilling a
go.
need.
Need is really the best way. But a lot of times people say solving a problem. You know, like what problem does your business solve, right? But it's really kind of fulfilling a need. What need does your business fulfill, right? So cool. So moving on to the next segment. We call this Final Four, right? And we're giving, 4 steps to plan your path. So just to kind of go through what we've covered, right? We went through search results, really kind of doing some self-discovery where you dig deep into what you're good at, where you've seen success, or where you have found passions that you see opportunity, right, for growth that you can kind of lean into. So, once you kind of find that skill, lean into that skill set, then it's like, okay, how can I monetize this? What can I do to monetize this? And we kind of went over some ways, doing freelance work, offering consulting services, selling online courses, writing books, so on and so forth. Now, how do I get started, right? What are some ways to get started, or some ways for me to, move forward with this, right? So I'm gonna let Sid take the first one, and I'm gonna take the last one.
Absolutely. So one of the things that you can do first off is define your niche, right? So identify a specific market or industry where your skills are in demand. Consider who your ideal clients are, what their needs are, and how you can solve their problems with your skill, right? And so that's really just finding where it is that you can fit in, and with the niche, that's really going to the, really doing a deep dive into a specific target audience, right? Like not really being very general and vague, but really finding an audience that satisfies what you're looking for as a potential client or customer base, right? It may be people that are dog lovers, but you may be looking for people who are dog lovers that adopt, right? Or you may be looking for, some people who like to cook food, but you may be looking for people who like to cook food with a certain style of seasonings, so it's really finding your audience, and when it comes to your niche, but more specifically your audience, you really want to find the people that are attracted to your brand and your business and what you have to offer. And you want to get very specific with that as well too, because you can't just be marketing to everybody and feeling like your products and your services can work for everyone, because that's not going to be the case. Like,
it's not realistic.
It's not realistic. You want to find your niche, you want to find that audience, and you want to speak directly to those people, and really address the needs, the problems, or whatever it is that that your product or service can fill in that regard, right?
And just to add on to that, that's not to say that your niche ain't that you won't reach people outside of that,
right?
But you want to be very specific and purposeful when you're trying to acquire new customers, right? And focusing in specifically on that group,
you want to get a good
is where you're going to have the most success, right? And now if you're able to, reach people outside of that, great. But don't go in just marketing, like said, mentioned to everybody, because then, it's I'm not going to say it's a waste of time, but it's going to take you more time and money. And then it may be, it may put you in a point where you get a little discouraged because you aren't seeing results as fast as you like, right? So by focusing in and honing in on that very specific niche, I say niche, he say niche, but whatever.
Niche, I don't know.
But focusing in on that, is where you'll net the best results.
Absolutely. And then the next one is create a brand. So develop a clear and consistent message, voice, and understand what represents your business and product. Be sure to focus on areas that are closely related to brand identity, brand assets, and brand strategy, right? And so branding is an area that I'm significantly passionate about, right? I love the idea of branding. I love the idea of creating a voice, creating a message, amplifying your voice, connecting your message, boosting your impact. I love those things, and I love the idea of it. I love the development process of it, because really with your brand, that's the identity of what you represent, right? It's what people see and what they perceive about you, right? And there really has to be a very strategic focus on how you brand and how you put your products and services out, because this is what creates the opportunity for people to connect with you, right? This is how you build a community. This is how you build your customer base, your clients, your foundation. But it also sets the standard of what your audience is going to get from you every single time, right? You want to make certain that you're delivering high quality service. You want to make certain that you're being consistent with what you're doing. You want to make certain that you're representing yourself well on every aspect, because that's how you create something that's going to be sustainable. And then that's where you see the benefit of monetizing your skill set, because now not only are you doing something that you're passionate about, but you're also doing something that's profitable, because you've structured your brand the correct way and people are really gravitating towards what you have. So those are two things, right? Define your niche or your niche.
Whatever,
And
niche,
then
niche, whatever.
create a brand.
You might be pronouncing it right, said. I ain't doubting you. All right,
I think it's either or: potato, tomato, tomato.
Yeah, they say that, but it ain't potato though.
Some people may say potato. You know what I'm saying?
But bet. So okay. Next on the list is consistently deliver high quality work. This is very important, right? So the wrong attitude and mindset to have is, once I got this customer, they don't really matter no more, right? Like, okay, like I got this money, like whatever, and then kind of forget about them. That's like the worst attitude to have, right? So very important that once you secure that customer, that you provide the highest quality of work that you're possible of delivering, right? Because what happens is your reputation, your brand reputation is extremely important, but also your best customer is your repeat customer, right?
Absolutely.
Because that customer already has worked with you and they're coming back to work with you again, which says everything you need to know. But then those people are also going to be the ones that spread positive word of mouth, and it'll go to bat for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I've worked with such and such. They do great work. I went to them 4 or 5 times. You know what I mean? That's great. And you need those type of people for the 1 or 2 negative complaints you get, right? Because people are more likely to complain than give praise, right? So like the reviews on Amazon, right? People are much more likely to go in the comments and write up a review about a negative experience than they are about a positive, right? So you need to make sure you got as much positive out there as possible to offset those things. You know what I'm saying? But again, never go into it thinking like, okay, I got this customer, they don't matter anymore, right? Like, no, those are the people that matter the most, right? You need to obviously still be acquiring new customers and focusing on them as well, but the ones that you have can sustain your business, right? Absolutely. And then you want to grow, but very important to consistently deliver high quality work with once you secure the customer or client. And last but not least is continuously develop your skills. So stay up to date with industry standards. Depending on the industry you're in, it may be fast moving. Technology is evolving and changing all industries. Something like artificial intelligence is shaking up all industries. You know what I mean? Because it's automating workflows and a lot of manual work is being done in a fraction of the time, right? So very, very important to stay up to date and knowledgeable about, industry trends and what's going on in your particular field. Because if you don't, then you're going to lose your competitive advantage, and a newcomer is going to come in, and take over, and a lot of these big businesses have seen it. Ask Blockbuster, you know what I'm saying? Ask, what's some other big businesses that got shut down? Ask
Radio Shacks,
right? Ask Radio Shack, you know what I'm saying? Ask these numerous other companies that were presented with opportunities to invest in some of these startups that actually took them over. You know what I mean? So very important to continue developing your skills. as an individual, and you know, as you grow your business, keeping that same mindset and attitude towards your workers, right? Continue to stay on top of your game. Definitely. But Sage, you want to hit us with the final thought?
Absolutely.
Or unless you wanted to add anything
Nah,
on that.
I'm good, bro. You covered it. You covered it well, man. So final thought, monetizing your skill set takes effort, but by following the right path, you can start to turn your skills into a valuable source of income, right? So remember to stay focused, be patient, and continuously improve your skills and services to succeed at the path you pursue, right? And so, you know, by taking the right approach, you know, you can start to see income by leveraging and utilizing your skill set. And again, as we stated earlier, this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be an entrepreneur and that you have to start and launch your own business, though a lot of what we were saying was surrounding that particular style of leveraging. But even in your work role, even with your employer, really honing in on certain things that you're good at, or certain things that you want to learn and develop that skill set. You know, be someone who has many different things that they can do, and that's very versatile, because again, that allows you to see more additional opportunities within that industry, within your job, within that role, and then your career can take off. You know, and you can see income increase, promotions, pay raises, and all those things, right? And then obviously as an entrepreneur, you know, knowing what you're good at and consistently learning day by day. I feel like when you're in the entrepreneurial role, like it's all about learning. Like learning never stops. It's consistent. It's ongoing. You know, and you're responsible for steering your ship, right? So the more that you learn and the more opportunities that you get presented to you, the more beneficial it becomes to really just engage with the overall process of bettering yourself, and then utilizing what you know and what you've experienced to improve your products and services, and you know, grow your income and monetize.
Yeah, and I just tried to find the statistic real quick while you're saying that to go back to it, but I think I found one that's close enough to the point I was trying to make. So go back to the point you made about not being an entrepreneur and just working like as a worker, you know, at a traditional job. There's statistics out there, right, that close to like 60-70% of people don't like their job.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people work their job specifically for the money because it pays their bills, right? Like their comfort, there's just a certain amount of comfort. They're kind of complacent, but they don't like their job, right? So I would say really, really think deeply. One, are you happy in your current job, right? And if the answer to that is no, then ask yourself what you rather would be doing. Right.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't mean quit your job and go do that, but start working towards that. Right. So if you work as a, I don't know, say you're a flight attendant.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what I mean? There's probably people out there who are very passionate about being a flight attendant, but I don't know. But most people probably aren't like, that's not their dream job. They didn't grow up wanting to be a flight. Well, I'm talking bad about flight attendants. I don't know. Maybe people did grow up and want to be flight attendants. Don't take what I'm saying as negative about the job. Focus on the point here, right?
Yeah.
But if you're a flight attendant and you want to be an author, right? Say you're very passionate about cooking, and you're very good at cooking and you want to be an author. So okay, cool. Work your regular job, and in your free time, start you know, writing and formatting your recipes, right? Where you can either, you know, release YouTube videos of the recipes, or a cookbook of some sort, or you can do a podcast, you know, whatever the case may be. But just start working towards that goal, right? And that's gonna, you know, encourage you and build some confidence. And then you can monetize it, right? Find ways to monetize it, and then you can work your way out of that flight attendant job into doing something that you truly love, right? I think the reason a lot of people stay put, which goes back to my earlier point, they're just comfortable, right? And then they get complacent, right? And you don't want to be that. Like, complacency is literally the enemy of growth. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to fight through that complacency, right? And so you can grow and actually focus on what it is that you want to do. And that's very it's easier said than done, but it is not impossible. And you just got to take, you know, one step at a time, you know what I mean, to accomplish those goals. And literally the point of keep it thorough, the reason this podcast exists is to provoke thought, right?
Yeah.
And like really challenge you as well as challenge ourselves, and really kind of become the best versions of ourselves, and share that information and give that information back, right? So if y'all don't get nothing from these episodes, I would hope that it strikes the match, you know what I mean, to light a fire under you to be like, okay, that's something that I should do, right? Like, man, I really don't like my job that much, right? Like, what would I rather be doing, right? I'd rather be traveling the world. Maybe you just want to travel the world. Okay, well, what can you do to travel the world? What are some things you can do to build up enough income to do that, right? But whatever the case may be, right? I just wanted to point that out, that if you're not happy with what you're doing, right, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to just move up within that company. You may need a career change completely, right? And that's a scary thing to think about, but something that's much needed for a lot of people, for their mental health and their happiness, right? So just wanted to add them points out there. And anything else you wanted to touch on, Sid?
Nah, that was it, bro. That was it.
All right, so hey, man, as y'all see at the bottom of the screen, that we mentioned earlier and on the last podcast, we released our hat, as well as our website, so keepitthorough.com. If you haven't already, please go check out the website. Feedback is recommended as well too. I haven't said that, right? If there's something y'all like to see on the site, as well as topics y'all like us to cover, things like that, feel free to email us at info@keepitthorough.com, or shoot us a message, a DM. As I mentioned on the last podcast, we're going to be switching from doing these Instagram lives over to a new platform. We're going to be moving over to YouTube, which is where the lives will be. But all of our episodes will be available on all the podcast platforms, like they are now. So the Spotify's, Apple Podcasts, iHeart Radio, wherever you listen, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen. But we greatly appreciate all the support, regardless of how you're tapping in, whether you watch live or go back and watch the videos. We definitely get a decent amount of plays on the podcast platform. So we greatly appreciate y'all as well. With all that said, man, if you don't do nothing else, keep it thorough. And we'll holler at y'all next week. Deuces.